The Wake Up Call Part 2. I know how desperately people are searching for a better way of being. I've been a frequent visitor to the mind, body and soul sections of bookshops, and I can see how many different perspectives are being shared. What I am aware of, though, is that there is so much information it can be hugely daunting and confusing. How can you know which are the best books to read? People are searching, and thankfully many are finding, but what I also see though is that many need it a bit clearer and easier to access. There are literally thousands of books out there, some of them written much more than 100 years ago, and I've read a wide selection of them and discovered that there are gems of truth in all of them. What I have discovered though was that some were written in archaic language and others were written in academic style, both of which are really difficult to follow. What I did was to read them all slowly and carefully, so that I was able to absorb and understand. I used my depression to read. What that means is that rather than you having to plough through all of that, I will share with you the gems of what I've discovered through putting what I believe to be true into action and proving it to be true to myself. However, I don't want you to believe anything that I'm going to tell you. All I ask of you is that if it sounds like an interesting idea, that you give it a go. That is, try it out for yourself and see for yourself if it works. There is nothing more convincing than experience. You don't need faith or willpower, just a desire to have happiness in your life. I can imagine that there are some of you who think that's fine for others but have serious doubts whether it can be so for you. I know that because I was one of those. I have discovered, though, throughout my journey that no matter how successful people are, most of them are riddled with the same fears as the rest of us. I call it the human condition. I'm reading this book to you because I want to help people to wake up and be happy to be themselves. Because when we're all happy to be ourselves, we will no longer have any fear of others. I am very aware that it's quite a task, as most people that I know have got something about themselves that they are not happy with, and many more people have got lots of things that they're not happy with. I know what it feels like too, because I used to be far from happy to be me. Well, you'll be pleased to know that it's actually far easier to wake up than you imagine. For many years I felt that there was no place in the world for me. My home was perpetually in a mess. I couldn't be bothered to tidy it up. Sometimes I wouldn't even get out of bed until the afternoon because there didn't seem to be any point, as there was nothing for me to do anyway. I didn't have any money or a job, so I used to dread the arrival of the post, as it might bring a bill that I knew I couldn't pay. My life was full of arguments and conflict with my partner, my children and my parents, and almost everyone I encountered seemed to be bad-tempered or aggressive. It seemed that everything, no matter how well it started out, always ended in tears. Life was a dark and dismal place to be, full of pain and fear. What I want to do is show you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I found the light, and I want to share how to get there in as clear a way as possible. I read many self-help books and researched into the teachings of some of the greatest minds throughout history. I know that most people don't have the time to do this sort of thing, so what I'm going to do is share with you my perceptions on what I have discovered, how I put into practice, and how experiencing the truths of my discoveries transformed my life into one of amazing bliss, joy, love and harmony. First of all, I'm going to give you the best news possible. That is, the best possible place to start this journey to blissful happiness is from your own life. It's the same for everyone, rich or poor, old or young, male or female. Every human life is as valid a starting point as any other human life. Each life contains experiences and memories of that life. Doesn't matter what anyone has been doing, it only matters how you are being. The only starting point that any human has is his or her own life, and none of us had the choice of which life we would be born into. So it is what we can learn from our own life that is each and everyone's starting point. As our own life is our own learning point, and as each life is as valid as any other, it is what we can understand and put into practice about the most wholesome and invigorating ways of relating with ourselves, each other, and nature that will bring us ultimately to the true purpose of life. The true purpose of life. Now, that's a big theme, and I will start to deal about that in the next video.